Section 533. Deleted portion. Rob noted, the data came through because of a discussion Jen and I had before the session, in which I expressed a good deal of resentment and negative attitudes about a lot of things. They said, "Now, do either of you mind if we have a session?" Rob said, "Nope." Rob noted to me. They said, "I have a few comments before dictation. Give me a moment." You have a deep love of the land from your Denmark days. Early in this life, you also enjoyed it. You liked working with the land, but because of conflicts with your father, you turned against, for example, gardening. You have ambiguous feelings about Rupert's garden for this reason. You are pleased with his obvious productivity with plants outside. You remember how strict your father was, however, and methodical in gardening. This annoyed you greatly. But now, to some extent, you identify with those leanings and look down upon the garden when Rupert does not find his way to follow the gardening rules. Some of these feelings are also projected upon the apartment house at large, and mask your deep love of your studio, despite all disadvantages. You have always wanted some land of your own, and have been bitter that you did not have it. Subconsciously, you are also bitter because you could have nearly purchased a place of your own with the money that you used to help your father purchase your family home. Some of these feelings have indeed led you to a strongly charged attitude in some cases, a bit out of proportion. Rob noted humorously. They said, "This is not to say that one of you is completely right and the other completely wrong, but I will tell you this. You can count upon Rupert to recognize immediately and intuitively cases of such overly charged behavior on your part. There is simply a deep difference. Rupert, for example, will enjoy and make use of whatever land he has, be it only the dirt in a windowsill plat. He does not have ambiguous feelings to supercharge his reactions in this particular area. To you, this apartment house and its grounds are considered in terms of land and dwelling. You think of the land you do not have. You have not been able to take advantage of the yard or the ground available as positive thing of joy and refreshment, and have therefore been denied an extra advantage from this place, and the conditions that Rupert has enjoyed. He thinks of this place in terms of a dwelling, rather than as land. But because his attitude is not charged, and because he does love land, he is able to enjoy what land there is. Now, he compares this place, for example, to his childhood home. As subconsciously you compare it to yours, whether you know it or not. He comes out far above in comparison. You do not, and this angers you. To him, other apartments, vacant, that you look at, represent automatically psychic probabilities that intrigue him simply because they exist. No land idea is connected. This does not mean he does not notice or dislike a given neighborhood. The lay of the land with you, however, immediately overwhelms other considerations. And if there is no land, you do not even want to step foot upon the property. These are simply variations in reaction that you should both understand. Give me a moment, a long moment. Rob noted to me. They said, you are largely the one to be satisfied, for Rupert will find joy in almost any environment that he considers his own. You see, he personifies in a way that you do not. Any place he is in is his place, to his mind, as this is his yard. So any dwelling that you find, he will personify and make his own, and therefore your own, if you follow me. Ra said, yes. They said, you should both have learned enough by now, however, to sense the psychic vitality or atmosphere of a dwelling. There are advantages and disadvantages in living in a house alone. Everyone in this apartment house is seldom in a bad mood at the same time. For example, so to some extent, in periods of normal depression, you are sustained by others, close by, who are not. You are also, of course, open to negative moods of others in the same way. In a house, you saturate the atmosphere until the air actually becomes almost an extension, electromagnetically, of your mental and psychic states. You would indeed benefit from larger quarters. You do not need me to tell you this. I have not mentioned such matters since my early suggestion that you purchase the house you did not purchase. It was a probability that you did not follow. Do you have any questions? Ralph said, no, I guess not. They said, there is also in your subconscious the feeling of a land or farm in connection with the one owned by your father's family. Ralph said, I don't think I ever saw that farm, did I? They said, simply the idea. Now, to some extent, you both overemphasize the differences between you as far as your ideas of a more or less permanent dwelling place are concerned. This has something to do with your lack of action. You can, for example, find a comfortable compromise between isolation that is relatively complete and an apartment in the heart of town. I want you to understand these charged ideas, however, and some of the reasons for them. You may take a break. Now, I do want to do some dictation, so after a few more comments I will do so. It upsets Rupert when you talk of moving, but make no actions to do so, because subconsciously it reminds him of the deep uncertainty and insecurity he felt when he was in the orphanage. Never knowing when he would go home or not, he kept himself in a constant state of readiness to leave. Various days were given, and then his leaving was postponed several times. He did not realize this connection. It is the indecision and lack of certainty, rather than any decision, that troubles him in this area. He feels he is not living where he is. While you want land, you also fear that it will tie you down, and to some extent, your feelings are ambiguous. This, added to the points mentioned earlier, has largely prevented any move, far more, I believe, than any financial considerations. Rupert's ideas about a house, for example, are actually far more positive than your own. He automatically believes that your income would rise to meet the new demands, and he is quite correct. As long as you believe it fully, he also thinks in terms of making such a venture pay. However, of ventures financially rewarding and enjoyable, while yours are negative in this regard. Now, since I am here, you can ask me what questions you have on this. Ralph said, "You are doing very well by yourself. That's why I haven't interrupted with a lot of questions." Seth said, "All right." Rupert automatically thinks of the productivity of land when he thinks of land. He would do very well in the future in buying real estate, and there will be money to buy it. He would not do as well with stocks and bonds. They are meaningless to him. Tangibles are important to him. I am simply trying to explain attitudes. Money in the bank does not emotionally excite him, though he realizes its benefits. It does not bring about his creative nature. Now, real estate would, and he could double his investments easily, for he has a good idea of people in relation to dwellings and of population movement. He is not aware of this. You need not fear, then, that he would not follow wholeheartedly, say, in moving to a house, for example, for the tangible element and the land would rouse those instincts. If you have no questions, we will resume dictation, or what was the beginning of Chapter 9. Ralph noted, of Seth speaks. Ralph said, "Very interesting." Seth said, "Do you want a short break first?" Ralph said, "Might as well, yes."